Boozy fragrances, or fragrances with distinct alcoholic notes, are some of my favorites. They have that unique warmth, that kind of sharpness. Very, very unique notes. You don't see them too often. And I like those that especially try to get the nuances of those notes, because if you put your nose to a glass of whiskey or rum, you swirl it around, of course you're going to get very unique notes, sometimes some nutty notes, sometimes some fruity notes, lots of variants. So lots of different ways to use these particular notes. And I'm going to start with two examples that I think are pretty good, both from the brand Jovoy. First is Les Joues sont faits, the other is Pavilion Rouge. So both of these contain very distinct alcoholic notes. So specifically, Les Joues sont faits, this one, has rum notes, and rum has some naturally sweet yet warm notes. But besides that, it also has tobacco, dried fruits, and sandalwood and some vanilla. So definitely a very, very kind of heavy, thick, smoky sort of fragrance, unisex. Although with those notes it is more on the masculine side, it's still really nice for both men and women. And in general, it's just a very nice, warm fragrance. I can imagine especially it would be perfect for the autumn or winter, when it's getting cold and you want to wear something warm and cozy. Besides that, Pavilion Rouge, this one, is similar with a few distinct differences. It has a leather note, so it has a bit more rustic charm to it, a bit more worn and battered. Still with the same sort of warmth. Besides the rum note, it also has a whiskey note. And if you've smelled rum versus whiskey, you'll know that whiskey's a bit sharper, a bit more harsh, both in terms of smell and taste, compared to rum, which is a bit smoother and warmer. Besides that, because those two alcoholic notes go really well together in this fragrance, the leather kind of tones down that whiskey note along with a tobacco note, followed by vanilla, tea, and coffee notes. So this is definitely, I suppose it's several beverages turned into a fragrance, coffee, tea, and rum. But besides that, this is also a very unique fragrance, because how often do you come across a fragrance that has all those notes in one space? So definitely unique. I would say it's pretty much the same level of rusticness and heaviness as Les Joues sont faits, just with these little differences, like the addition of the tea note, the coffee note. So just little things, little differences, but both of them are pretty heavy, and both of them are very nice unisex fragrances. The next one I have is this little sample called Calle Ocho, with some notes, if you can see, rum, tobacco, and sandalwood. And pretty much just from those three notes you get this really delicious, warm, woodsy, slightly smoky sort of fragrance. I can imagine a cowboy or something smelling like this, rum, tobacco, and sandalwood. Very, very rustic fragrance, definitely. More on the masculine side, but definitely appealing to women as well. And it's just very nice. Nice, warm sort of fragrance. These sort of boozy fragrances will always be on the warmer side, almost always. Then, I have one that technically is not a boozy fragrance, because it does not have an alcoholic note. However, this is Spark by Liz Claiborne. Despite it not having an actual alcoholic note in the list, the fragrance list, it smells a lot like brandy or rum. Definitely, in my opinion, it's primarily actually a gourmand fragrance, a sweet feminine fragrance with some notes of caramel and cinnamon and things like that. So it's definitely sweet, much sweeter than these ones on the list that I've already mentioned. But it has a really strong kind of brandy note, really. And I'm surprised that there is no brandy note on the list. It's really just that caramel note, I think maybe some vanilla and the cinnamon. But this is a really good one if you want something sweet, but also have that nice, crisp, fresh kind of alcoholic note. Now, the last one is Givenchy's Gentleman Reserve Privé, which I used to have, I don't have it anymore. Very, very nice men's fragrance. It has a whiskey note, primarily, but it also has some very delicious iris and chestnut, along with some amber and wood notes. Very warm, smooth fragrance. Definitely, like I would say with the Jovoy fragrances, they're a little bit on the sharp side, especially when you first put them on. They smooth out later. But Givenchy, this one, has this immediate smoothness, this immediate warmth. Definitely nothing that's going to sting your nose or anything. And the addition of the iris and the chestnut makes it very, very unique, especially for a men's fragrance. You don't usually see those notes in general in men's fragrances. Plus, the whiskey note, according to what I read off of Givenchy's website, they used actual whiskey grain to bring about that whiskey scent, which is another very unique way of doing things. And in general, it's a very, very nice, long-lasting fragrance. And even though it is marketed for men, I would say it's also a very good unisex choice. Especially good for cold weather when you want something nice and warm. Other than that, those are my main choices for fragrances with nice alcoholic notes in them. If you have any opinions about these, you can leave your opinions down in the comment section below. If you liked the video, leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.